Oh, wait, hang on.
Well, I was
Welcome.
like,
Oh, hang on. Oh, wait. No, wait. I'm recording. Welcome to our masterclass series, helping entrepreneurs build businesses that fuse passion with profit. Our guest today is Serena Sandstrom, who is a sales and success coach for women. And Serena is best known for her signature system for impactful selling, where she teaches women powerful and authentic sales skills so they can rock their sales conversations and make more sales. And ultimately, through her private coaching work, she helps women to elevate themselves to powerful leaders in their business and their life. Serena, welcome.
thanks. It's great to be on the call with you, Jane.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. And look, we've known each other for a while. We've been on this entrepreneurial journey together for the last few years, and we're actually neighbours. We live in Sydney in the same suburb. And in fact, lately we've even been working together. You're one of my private clients.
I am, yeah, I'm one of the lucky ones to have private access to you, Jane, so it's been awesome.
Oh, thank you. The honour's all mine indeed. Look, I've invited you on the call today because I absolutely love what you're doing, and I think it's a very important topic to discuss. So I'm really looking forward to unpacking this ever so important topic with you, because you focus on the often misunderstood art of selling, and selling tends to be this often neglected area of being a business owner, and in particular being a female entrepreneur, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think women in particular go into business to really make a difference in their community or a wider impact in the world. And naturally they work on becoming really great at what they do. They focus on getting really great at their craft and to do it authentically, which we of course must do. But what I have found is that the area of creating sales in the business, and especially selling yourself as the heart of your business, which is different to selling products, for example, is something that women really tend to struggle with.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And look, it's just also been International Women's Day at the time of recording this. So I thought, in the spirit of celebrating and honouring women's entrepreneurship and helping women break through in the area of selling themselves well, I thought that this would be a great topic to discuss. So look, let's get started with our interview today. And I wanted to start by asking you, what got you interested in focusing on sales skills as part of your coaching programs and even your online program?
Yeah, it came through the business coaching work that I do with my one-on-one clients who are all in service-based professions, so coaches, creatives, wellness practitioners. And I started to find that as much as we were focusing on business structures and business skills and how to be a great leader in your business as a solopreneur, so many of my clients were bringing to the sessions their issues and the fears they have around their sales conversations. Mm-hmm. And as you know, Jane, you're so right about this topic, because what I actually found out that I think the fear of selling themselves and their services is probably the biggest obstacle after the initial fear of actually going into business in the first place.
Wow, that's huge, really.
It's huge.
So do you reckon, what is it? Is it a gender thing? Why are women much more fearful and uncomfortable about selling their services than men tend to be?
Now, if we actually look at human behavior psychology here, and from that perspective, it's because in that experience of selling, it links back to all of our three primary fears. Our fear of not being good enough, which is same as fear of not being worthy, our fear of not being loved, and our fear of not belonging. So
Right.
what's going on for you in that moment is that if they say no, am I still enough? Am I still likable, which is same as lovable? And do I still belong? And this all happens on a subconscious level. You're not aware of it intellectually, but that's where it comes from. Now, based on that person's past conditioning and experiences, and I don't actually mean in the context of selling, but in life, in general, when they actually set up their business and start to put themselves into sales conversations, and it could be that some of those fears are heightened by whatever's happened to them in their life and how they were brought up. And now they're playing out here in the sales conversation. So they need to be addressed at a really root level to then be able to overcome them as a limit in the sales conversation and selling yourself. So there is there's this real biological, psychological link where it comes from. And now why women suffer more than men, that is just down to the traditional roles that men and women have had over thousands of years, and it's created that conditioning. Now, the important thing is that with our emotional intelligence, as women, we actually make better salespeople.
Oh.
So when we learn about the psychology of selling, and when we overcome those inner limits that would stop us being able to be the best sales women who we can be, we actually have the potential to be better sales women than men can be, obviously.
Yeah, that's so interesting that you say that, because I remember back when I was in corporate and I used to work for the likes of Macquarie Bank, and I remember that, I was in sales myself, but, at a semi-senior level, but it was always, they were always on the lookout for powerful female salespeople, because you're right, they were few and far, but, they were difficult to find, but when you found a good one, my gosh, they were so incredibly successful,
Yes.
So I've never really looked at it like that before. What you're saying, I didn't realize that it went so deep towards being a female, and so
it's our ability to relate, because sales is all about relationships. It's about collaboration. It's about it's about being able to relate, and people buy from emotion. So women are really good at this. So when you learn how to do it well, you can become a great saleswoman.
Yeah, exactly. And look, I just wanted to take a step back and to touch on something you said before about how why you got into this type of work, and that being that, you noticed that the women were really great at what they're doing, but but it's not enough. It is not enough to be good at your craft. You actually, the bottom line is that without any sales, there actually is no business. And I know that even I've been a salesperson in my corporate career, but it took me probably about 1.5 years or 2 years into my business to realize that, oh my gosh, sales is actually the most important thing or most important part of my business. It's like if there's no transactions happening, then there is no business, So it's kind of like if you want a successful business, then this is an area that you need to get good at in whatever form that's going to take, whether it's via emails or whether it's over the phone, whatever that process is, you've got to be asking for the sale, don't you?
Yeah, and you make a good point there in that those same fears and those same blocks would be coming up whether you're doing, writing sales emails, or if you're on a sales conversation. It's still, if they're playing out for you, you're going to find a way to overcome those, because it would affect all of your different touch points in the sales process.
Yeah, exactly. Because I guess when we look out there and we look at sort of what the popular topics are and what everyone seems to be resonating to, it's all about, building a list and about, earning X amount of money and all this stuff. And all of this comes down to sales, really, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But yet, when we hear the word sales, it's not something that we're comfortable with. It's something that it's like, ooh, we feel icky about it, don't we?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And what would you say are some of the mistakes that women make around selling their services?
Cool. Yeah. There are many, many mistakes. I would say the number one
Yep.
is that they don't work on their wealth consciousness and money blocks. So, and you know me, Jane, in my work, and basically to be successful in anything, we always need to do the inner work first, and then we can look at the external strategy. So very fundamentally, you've got to clear any money blocks and self-worth issues to be able to actually on the worth of your work. So that's the overcoming any internal limits. And then you've got to understand how the universe works and that there's an unlimited amount of money on the planet. You know, money is a renewable resource. So everyone has always the opportunity to create more.
Yes.
It's a renewable resource. And you know, and that you having more does not mean that someone else has less. Because there is an unlimited, it's an infinite amount of money that we can have circulating on the planet. And you know, that you being well supported in your business actually means that you can help more people.
Yes, absolutely.
The more money you make, and you're able to then invest back into your business so that more people get to hear about your message and benefit from your message and your gift. So this is the wealth consciousness work to move from. So it's very much from moving from a lack consciousness, that there is not enough money, there's not enough clients for me out there, to abundance consciousness and seeing the world through a very different filter. And what will happen energetically is you'll move to a different place energetically. And your clients will experience your sales consults, and even it comes through in your sales emails as well. They'll experience that. And that higher energy and higher vibration will actually help your clients with their own fears. Because for them to be, like, the truth is that they are as afraid in that sales conversation, for example, as you might be. It's their own fears about lack of money, and will they be able to do this, and will it work for them, and all those kind of things. But when you bring your own higher energy into that, you'll be able to help them to say yes to working with you.
Yeah, wow, that's so interesting and so, so true. So what you're saying is the first step, well, actually, one of the biggest mistakes is that you need to work on your internal views towards wealth consciousness and abundance.
Yes.
Okay, and remove any blocks that might be there. And you know, I'm a little bit different from most people. I don't actually feel like I have that many blocks in this particular area, right? Because I'm very motivated and driven, right? And I'm very comfortable with the whole talking about money and my attitude towards it. But I have to say, like, every single person that pretty much that I've ever worked with has these blocks that you're talking about, you know, which is interesting. And you're right, like, it is a matter of you kind of need to move past that. Like, it's kind of like that's the first step, is moving past that, okay, in order to have any success with sales, like you say. Okay, what's the second mistake that women make?
Jen, I lost you there for a moment.
Oh, I just said, what is the second mistake that women make? Can you hear me?
Jane, I lost you there for a moment. Now I can hear you.
Oh, good. Excellent. I was just saying, What is the second step, the second mistake that women make?
It's that women don't understand what people buy and how our brains are wired to make buying decisions, which, as I mentioned, is always from feeling, not from logic. We make all our buying decisions based on a feeling, and then we go and justify that decision with our logic.
Oh, so true.
And this is why we want to sell benefits instead of features. And I'm sure most people listening would have heard, sell the benefits instead of features. And the reason is because that connects to the right brain, which is emotion, which is the limbic brain where the buying decision is made. And this doesn't come naturally for most. So you've got to understand this, you've got to learn about this and learn how to do this, or how to sell the benefits and how to connect to the client's emotion in that sales experience. Again, whether it's an email, whether it's on a webinar, whether it's on a phone call, it's the same for all of those sales touch points.
Brilliant. Excellent. Great. Excellent.
There's a few other ones.
Okay.
Thirdly, I would say that people don't know how to create a great and uplifting buying experience.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, it's like, I hate selling, but how about looking at it as a buying experience for their clients?
I love that. Absolutely love that. Yeah.
People love buying. They just hate being sold to.
Yeah, right. That's so true. They love buying. They hate being sold to. Yep. Great.
So you've got to know how to create a safe and expansive space for your client to really be their best, like at their best. And through like this really awesome sales conversation you're having, your client gets to actually feel how much they want to work with you, and to achieve all of this great stuff that you're introducing to them, you're sharing with them, you're allowing them to feel what's possible if they work with you.
Wow, that's great. Absolutely.
Yeah. So third mistake. Yeah. So third mistake is not looking at how I can create a great buying experience for my client. Some of the other ones that I think are absolutely key and need to be talked about is women especially believe they need to be their client's friend, and this is a big mistake.
So true. So true.
Yeah. So your client, they're not looking for a paid friend. They're looking for an expert who can tell them how it is, and friends and family don't do that. So you actually need to make it a different type of conversation to what they have with friends and family. And you've got to know how to be the leader and the expert in that conversation, because that's what your prospect is looking for you to be.
Oh, that's such a great tip. That's a really great tip.
Yeah. And I've got one more that I want to share with you, which is a big one, is that they think that they need to do most of the talking. And the opposite is true, actually. So instead of letting your client interview you, you need to interview your client and have them do most of the talking.
Yes.
Because when they do, it's like you interview them, you let them do most of the talking, and let them justify to you why they need to work with you.
Yeah, they kind of talk themselves into it. And even it's kind of like when as a woman we like to talk, and the more we talk we kind of we feel good about that, after we've kind of let it all out, don't we?
Yeah, but here's the thing again, because if you speak, they don't get to feel it, whereas if you let them speak, they get to experience what it is that they really want and what it is that they want to and can create, and when they articulate it, they get to feel it.
Oh, that's so true.
Yeah, and there is nothing manipulative about this, because the biggest gift, if you know you have what your client needs, then the better you can help them to feel their potential and say yes to themselves through working with you, then you are giving the biggest gift.
Oh, that's so true. That's so true. And it's true because, like, that is, people do think, like, oh, I don't know if I could be, just, I guess that's just it. Like, the whole selling things, there is that kind of like, oh, I'm manipulating somebody into something, making them do something that they don't do. But it's exactly like what you're saying. It's totally not about that at all. It's the absolute opposite.
You're opening the doorway to their potential.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of like, it's rude not to. It's like, they need you.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly. So, yes, those 5 points are just so incredibly amazing. Was there any more in there, or was that it for that?
Yeah, they are, I think, the 5 biggest mistakes that women make in not being able to, that basically hold them back from becoming great saleswomen.
Yeah, great, excellent advice there. So, look, I wanted to ask you something else, because one thing that I know that my clients hate is handling objections, and what advice, do you have for them?
Yeah, objections and handling them, it's actually a key part of the sales conversation. So a lot of women probably feel like, I wish they didn't even come up. They actually have to.
Yes.
If the objections don't come up, the conversation isn't complete.
Yeah.
So a couple of things there. Firstly, you've got to understand that every objection that comes up is actually not about you or your program. It's always about your client's fears.
Right.
And here is where your own certainty about the work that you do and the results that you can create for your clients is key. So here is where you really need to stay in your own certainty and through that energy, because it's like energetically it comes through, and it comes through in your language. So this is one of the most important parts in handling objections, where you really need to be in your certainty. And secondly, like I said, you've got to handle the objections with them, because people hate making decisions, and most people don't even know how to make a great decision. So if you let them go and think about it, they will, or their well-meaning family will talk them out of it. So they will either talk themselves out of it, or friends and family chip in and
make the decision for them.
Exactly. So,
gosh, that's so true. So how do you kind of make the decision with someone? I guess by going through those objections with them, right?
Yes. So basically, like I said, it's a collaboration. So most people, and this is what makes you different from basically salespeople try and brush the objections under the carpet. Oh, it's not going to happen to you. Don't worry, you'll get over it. Don't worry. Whereas any objections that come up, what I want you to do is you will actually bring it to the surface to be talked about. And so you'll bring it to the surface to be talked about, and you help your client to find a solution for that objection there and then with you on the call.
Yes. So for example, when you let's just say if you're on the phone with someone, you're selling this coaching program, do you think that you should at the end say, look, how are you feeling about things? Do you have any issues, or how do you how do you ask someone if they've got any objections?
Well, you often hear objections come up during the sales conversation, and so the best way to handle objections, to handle them when they come up straight away, instead of leave them till the end. Because if you don't handle it there and then when you're hearing it in their language, like they bring up something time or money or family or support or something comes up in a conversation early on, if you don't, work on that there and then, it's going to come and bite you back at the end when you're closing.
Right. So basically, when they mention it, you address it then.
Yeah, for example, if they keep, mentioning how busy they are and they're really not sure if they can find the time, you could actually kind of pause the conversation and say, you know what, hey, I hear that you want this, but maybe you're just too busy. Maybe this is not for you.
Yeah, right. Got it. Mhm.
And when I say, imagine they want it, but they're afraid, so they're bringing up the time objection. Imagine if on the call, I just go, maybe you're just too busy, maybe this is not for you. What are you going to say?
Yeah, exactly. And actually, just
you probably start going, normally what happens in that.
You'd go, oh no, I'm okay, I've got enough time.
No, I'm going to go and find the time. And you say, okay, let's have a look at it. How will you find the time? Oh, well, I'm going to actually, I don't really have to do that on Saturdays. I can find 3 hours there, and then I'm going,
Yeah.
And the objection is solved. It won't, and then cannot come up at the end.
Ah, that's great. That's really, really good.
Yeah. And again, Cool, huh?
Yeah, it's so good. I just love this. It's so good. Okay, so, all of that totally makes sense. So how can a person become better at selling themselves and get over their fear of selling?
Yeah, good question. I think I might have mentioned this as we first started speaking about this, is that most women have never studied selling. But the same way as you study your actual skill set, you take courses, work with coaches on, setting up other business structures, you've also got to study selling. You've got to understand how to get good at it.
Yeah.
So either working with, one-on-one coach who can take you through both the inner work and then the actual psychology and the language and structure for sales, and how to make sales using different types of touch points, for example. So you can work with a one-on-one coach, or you can take a course on this topic. There would also be great books around this. So whatever it is that is the right next level for you, is go and find the right sources and start learning. And
do you have any books that you could recommend?
So now this is because I love, success mastery and success psychology. I bring that to my work so much. Is I actually recommend everyone to start by reading The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace.
Oh yes, I've read that. It's brilliant. And it comes highly recommended, doesn't it? It's very good.
Yeah. That's not in actual sales skills, but it's a game changer in abundance thinking. And I think before you go to any strategy book, you have to have read this book, for example, because if you don't have the right mindset and psychology, the strategy won't stick.
Yeah, exactly. And that's so true.
Yeah. And then in practice, I also say you've got to actually, you've got to practice. You've got to be having actual sales conversations to practice these skills. So I always say to my clients that sales come to you from having real conversations with real people. It's not about social media and private messages. I mean, I recently spoke with someone who does their sales through private messages and actually but it wasn't working very well. So obviously it was like, well, if they send you a private message, then the next, immediately you want to get on the phone, and not there and then, but you want to set up that phone conversation.
So true. Someone once said to me, a top, very, very, very successful business coach, and he said that if you know how to do one-to-one sales, you will always be, your business will always be lucrative. It's the best skill that you can have is to, be able to, um, have that one-on-one conversation. I agree. Speaking to them on the phone is one of the best ways to sell anything.
Yeah, and actually find out what's going on for them, because we don't sell to everybody. If we find that we're not the right person to help them, we refer. So it's like, but
Yeah.
you don't know that unless you talk to them. When you're on the phone with them, you can actually have that interaction and the conversation where you'll find that, actually I have the perfect program for you. Or if you have different programs, the only way you can recommend the right program is when you actually have the conversation with them. Or if it's not right, you refer. So I think it's important to people to know that it's not like the end. You go on to those sales conversations absolutely open-minded and in full service for what's best for your client.
Yeah, that's true. And I want to make a point, two important points, I think, is that just about the selling process. In terms of something that people need to also understand is that if a person doesn't have a sense of urgency around making it happen for themselves, then it doesn't matter what you do, then it's going to be hard to sell them. So I guess it's like also for people who might not be having sales and thinking, I've done everything right, I followed this process, why aren't I getting the sales? You've got to make sure as well that you are speaking to the right person and that they are motivated, because if there isn't a sense of urgency around what they're doing, then it doesn't matter. They're not going to make that purchase and move forward because they're not ready yet. The second thing I wanted to mention was that the majority of people have this tremendous fear of selling. Okay, we've already established that. I just wanted to give listeners out there an example of what I experienced with one of my clients. So she was a health coach, and she was releasing her signature program, which was a 6-week program, and the process that she was going to do was that they applied to work with her, and then she got them on a call. Now she was very successful at that and had a lot of calls lined up. The thing is that she was terrified of selling, so I gave her a bit of a script, a loose script to follow, and then she'd made about 5-10 calls, something like that. She hadn't converted any, and I said to her, what's going on? Anyway, she was actually so terrified of making these calls, okay, her English isn't that great either, that she got her friend to do it. And, surprise, surprise, her friend didn't make any sales. Now, she got over her fear of getting on the phone, which was a big one, and I have to say that her close rate was extraordinarily good. She managed to close pretty much every single sale that she made and every call that she made, and managed to sell her signature offer out immediately. Okay, and she's earning, she went to 6 figures very, very quickly. So if anyone out there is listening and they're terrified thinking that they can't do this, Serena and I both can say, yes, you can, and it is possible for you too. And I guess for the last question that I want to ask you, Serena, that is that what is the number one advice that you can give to women who want to learn how to rock their sales conversations?
Yeah. You know what? Can I share something that, I think we're talking through those couple of things.
Sure.
It's actually something that is a conversation I had with my own coach, like my head coach who I've been working with several years, I think it was in our last session actually. And it was actually relating to sales in a way that client wanted to put their coaching on hold for a bit due to some circumstances, but I knew it wasn't deep down, like ultimately for their results, it wasn't the right thing to do right now. They needed the consistency. Anyway, it's like, again, immediately there and then is I needed to get on the phone with them, because here's the thing, email, and for example, like email doesn't make them feel uncomfortable. And You know, like, you know, often when people try and only sell through email, or, you know, if they are like go into long email conversations or private messages with people, it's like that doesn't make your client uncomfortable. And like you said, it was basically linked to where you talked about the urgency.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like, and you gotta, you know, that person needs to be, you gotta help that person to realize why now.
Yeah, exactly.
And like my coach, we talked about something else as well, and she just said, you know what, book doesn't make clients uncomfortable. That's why they need a coach, because coach can bring that right level of reality check and what's really going on and what's going to happen if you don't do this right now. That then allows the client to go, you know what, I'm not putting this off any longer. You're right, I need to do this now. And that's awesome. And you can only do that when you're having that one-on-one conversation.
Yeah, that's so true, isn't it? It's really, really true.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what was the next question?
Oh, yeah. So I just asked you, what was if you had to give your number one piece of advice to women who want to learn how to rock their sales conversations, what would that be?
Oh, it would have to be that your clients don't invest in you. They invest through you to get to their transformation and their results. So,
oh, I love that.
Isn't it beautiful? I mean, it's just, again, it's like selling is serving, because they don't invest in you, they invest through you. And your job is
so they're investing in themselves.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, your job to learn how to create and hold that amazing space where they can, and, you know, perhaps for the first time in their life, to say yes to themselves and their dreams.
Yeah, that's right. And have that, you know, to grow their business and to have that transformation and to have that support in making that happen for themselves. Absolutely. Yeah. Serena, thank you so much. I've got a lot out of this call and I've really enjoyed it, and I hope that the listeners have too. You've given some wonderful advice, and like I said, I absolutely love what you're doing, and I think that it's ever so important, because this is the work that you're doing. It really is transformational work, and you know, it's where people can, you know, business owners can start to see the results. You know what I mean? Like, that's what you're helping business owners do. So look, if anyone out there who's listening wants to learn more about the work that you do, where can they go?
Yeah, thank you. I have a course, an online course specifically on this topic. It's called Impactful Selling, but it's not enrolling until May this year. So it's a great course, but if you need help in turning around your sales right now, then you can just contact me by my website, and we can set up a time to speak and see what's the best plan for you right now.
Great, excellent. So I'm going to put the link to your website beneath this video. And in addition to that, I know that you recently did a masterclass on how to sell out your coaching offers. So I might put a link to that masterclass as well underneath this video.
Yeah, it's a brand new training from a week ago. So it's jam packed with like juicy content. So yeah, that's a great place to go and start as well.
Great. And your your website address is Serena Sandstrom, which is SANDSTROM.com, isn't it?
Yeah. So if anyone wants to talk to me about how to make more sales in their business, how to grow their business, the best place to go is serenasandstrom.com and contact me via my website. The queries come direct to me, so I'll get them directly and I'll reply in 24 hours.
Great, excellent. Thank you so much, Serena, for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Jane.
Oh, great, excellent. And let's just leave it there. See you later, everyone. Bye.
Bye, guys.